listening to the Overcast. Sunshine on a cloudy day. Part of the Oversoul Gaming channel. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast, your joke-making, fun-having pop culture podcast. I am your host, Justin, aka Oversoul.
And I am your co-host, Nick, aka the Vaping Fiend.
Yes, and like always, we bring you sunshine on a cloudy day. Just like that old song. Just like that old song.
I got sunshine on a cloudy day.
Yes. And the only reason I have my own version of that in the opening of this is because I can't use the actual one. Even without the music, even an a cappella version will get a copyright claim. So
Really?
Oops. Absolutely, yes. I tried it once, never again. So
Jeez.
So anyways, I will tell you what though. There has been some sunshine lately, although it's with a mix of cold wind. So it doesn't really do much good. Anyways, though, so we all know that the cold month is when Valentine's Day happened, and Nick, you are out of the two of us, the one in a relationship. So tell us, how did your Valentine's go? Tell us about your week.
Sarah came into town for the week of Valentine's Day. So she came in to town on Super Bowl Sunday. And prior to the Super Bowl, we went out to lunch, my treat. And we went to one of the local beefaroos. I think I got the mushroom Swiss burger. But
Beefaroo is amazing, by the way, for those who don't know. It's pretty exclusive to our region of Illinois.
Freeport's getting one apparently.
Yeah, that's good. That means I don't have to travel, 40 minutes to go to one, but yeah, they're pretty I would call them diner-esque type place. If
there's multiple
old school themed.
All of the different locations have different themes. Like the one that Sarah and I went to, I think it was like the 60s or 70s themed truck stop diner.
Oh, okay, not the Firehouse one?
Not the Firehouse one. We went to the one over on Alpine.
Oh, okay. Right. I keep forgetting which one is which. The Firehouse one is the one out in Loves Park, I think.
Yeah. That's the one right there on North 2nd.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. But anyways, they're good. But when I said, one of them is diner themed. But when I said diner-esque, I meant in terms of like the food on offering. It's a very classic burgers, fries, and shakes joint. Kind of like steak and shake.
Yeah.
But they've got like mushroom burger. They have this thing called an olive burger that's really good.
I almost ended up getting the olive burger instead of the mushroom Swiss burger. I didn't have Swiss cheese on it because I can't stand the Swiss cheese. I substituted it with cheddar. And it was the cheese sauce that they use on their cheese fries, which is a beefaroo staple. It was yummy.
Yeah, and their blue raspberry shake tastes exactly like cotton candy.
I got the eggnog shake.
Ooh, another good one.
It was like my favorite one next to my top favorite. Next to my first favorite is their root beer shake. The root beer shake is amazing. Eggnog comes in hard second.
Okay.
Because those, I've also had their Jamocha shake, and their Jamocha shake is really good too.
Yeah, beefaroo is one of those things that, like, if somebody's coming from who's not like somebody who's not native to the area is coming to visit, that's the kind of place you want to take them to because you can't find it anywhere else, really. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are expanding, but like it's a pretty, it's one of those restaurants. It's kind of like how we don't have a Jack in the Box anywhere around here. That's like a Texas thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, beefaroo is our Jack in the Box. Basically,
pretty fucking much, yeah.
But like if you Google it, seriously, Google beefaroo, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like look at their menu, folks. You'll see what I mean. When Dylan Funky Hurdles came to visit for Dalton's wedding originally, we took him to beefaroo because he stayed the night with me that time, and we took him to beefaroo. And
nice.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. He had some kind of fish sandwich, I think.
Nice.
And the only two times I've actually had the pleasure of meeting that fine gentleman in person is then and again during Ryan and Chris's wedding.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. First is Dalton and Lindsay, then Ryan and Chris. Dylan came out for both. So for Dalton's wedding, I think he was part of the audience. I was in the wedding party for that, and Ryan was too, I believe.
Okay.
But for Ryan's wedding, me, Dalton, and Dylan were all in the wedding party.
Very nice.
I believe, yeah. Dylan was one of the groomsmen. We had the relationship between us had established a lot more by then. And there's on my YouTube channel, folks, there is a long, extensive history of videos that have me and my brother Dalton, my brother-in-law Ryan, and our good friend Dylan, aka Funky Hurdles, in them. And not only was he the guy for the longest time that made music for the video game music videos that I did, and I used his music a lot on the channel, but some of the funniest moments in all of my video history have come from videos that I've done with those three yahoos.
Yes.
I can't remember if there actually was one time that it was actually all four of us together, and that was when we played what was it, Human Fall Flat. It was me, Dalton, Ryan, and Dylan for that one. We played Human Fall Flat together. I think that might be the only video that has literally all four of us in it at the same time. Otherwise, it's usually some combination of the three. It's either me, Dalton, and Ryan, me, Dalton, and Dylan, or me, Ryan, and Dylan. So, and I know they've played things together on their own too, but there's no video proof of that.
Right.
Vids or it didn't happen.
Right, exactly.
No. But because they used to play like Warzone and shit a lot together. So, but yeah, we used to play Knockout City and stuff like that all the time, but the Dark Souls videos and Bloodborne videos probably led to some of the most hilarious moments together.
Okay.
And man, it's so hard to plan that stuff anymore now because everyone's so busy, and I get nostalgic for it sometimes. Every once in a while, I'm like, damn, I wish I could get those old boys back together for a round of something or another. But it's either like the stuff that comes out is something that nobody but me wants to play, like Foam Stars, and no one else wants to play it, or it's just a matter of like scheduling. I mean, we got Ryan on for Fortnite, so that was cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate I can still get him on things at least, but
right.
Dalton and Dylan have become hermits, so
fair enough.
But Dalton's busy with his tattooing and stuff like that, and Dylan is working a very early job at a candy factory now, so his free time.
Oh, he's Willy Wonka.
Sure, why not? Dilly Wonka. Oh God, Dilly Funka, Funky Wonka. I love it. Oh God.
Oh man.
No, he works at the place where they make Dum Dums and Bit of Honey.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, or where they package them, at least, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah. So, and also he's got a overseas girlfriend too. So they spend
okay.
they don't get to see each other a lot because she's in the UK. So,
right.
But they have met in person several times. She's flown out to see him, and I think vice versa. But yeah, they. But so yeah, he spends a lot of time chatting online with her. Like you and Sarah. So it's a similar setup. So
yeah.
But anyways, I don't know how that tangent came to be. Finish telling me about your week.
Yeah, no, so yeah, we
Well, speaking of Wonka, we watched that together recently.
Yes, we did.
Because you guys came to visit this past Monday.
Yeah, no, we did come out to visit on Monday. But before I get to that, I do want to mention we Sarah and I after we got done at Beefaroo, we went back to the house and we watched the Super Bowl, which I want to mention it briefly, but the first trailer that I saw was for what we now know as Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
I am excited for this. I am super excited for this, and I love, like, Ryan mentioned. Ryan had worded it perfectly on Fortress of Nerditude. The two jabs that we got at Disney and Marvel right out the gate in this trailer gives me so much hope that this movie is going to be everything that I have asked for, everything that I think every Deadpool fan has been asking for.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking forward to this one. I think even a lot of the crotchety assholes who have been bitching about woke Disney this and blah blah that are gonna set aside their blinders for the sake of this movie.
This man, dude, I cannot wait to see this in theaters, because I want to shell out the money to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah, and quick rundown, by the way, in that trailer, worth mentioning, it looks like the way that they're bringing Deadpool into the MCU is through the TVA, which was introduced in Loki, so I do recommend people watch the first 2 seasons of that before this movie comes out. It's not coming till later in the year, you got plenty of time. So I do recommend that, because at least it'll help to know what the TVA is exactly. Mm-hmm. And really the only thing you have to have seen to appreciate Loki is the first Avengers movie. So, and well, if you've watched everything up to Endgame, then you will understand what's going on in Loki pretty easily, So
okay.
I mean, everything in all the Avengers movies, at least it does. There's It's not like necessary material, but like you'll understand why. He starts on this path, because you remember in Endgame when they go back in time, they mess up at one point and Loki gets the Tesseract and disappears. Well, you want to know where he disappears to? Into a TV show. So that's
right.
That's what that is. So, but yeah, so. Yeah, anybody who has that knowledge then watches the first 2 seasons of Loki, they'll know what the TVA is. Hell, just the first season will tell you what it is. But, so I'm guessing, my assumption is because of Deadpool's time travel shenanigans at the end of the second movie, the TVA is coming in to prune his timeline.
It's a very big possibility. Yeah, that would make sense.
But there's also there's this one joke I don't think a lot of people caught. It's really juvenile, but like because the conversation keeps going so immediately, it doesn't really give you a chance to process it. But there's one point where the guy's like, "Mr. Wilson, it appears you soiled yourself while you were unconscious," and he says, "I wasn't unconscious." And but like people didn't catch it because he immediately goes into what's this all about, like with no room for you to process what he said. But I caught it and I was like, okay. But yeah, there's a lot of fourth wall breaking in this trailer. If you look during one of the fight scenes where Deadpool is like reloading his gun and stuff in slow motion and all that, in the background there's a big decrepit collapsed 20th Century Fox logo. You can see part of it.
I did see that too. Yes, I was like, is that what I think it is?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's not only Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, but also Marvel's way of saying we own Fox now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking good. But Ryan Reynolds has a lot of say in what goes into these Deadpool movies. So
no, absolutely.
It's all, like, since Deadpool's genuine power is to break the fourth wall, the canonical reality here is that Ryan Reynolds himself actually is Deadpool now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's canon. That's canon. So it's like how the Muppets are quote unquote real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like when they go on talk shows and stuff, you don't see the person controlling them. You see themselves, the Muppets themselves, and you're supposed to believe that is them. I mean, we all know deep down that there's somebody behind the couch with their hand up the puppet's ass, but like in reality, we're supposed to believe that these Muppets are their own sentient entities, their own self-aware beings. But yeah, there was also a Secret Wars comic book in this trailer, which laying on the ground, and that is there's an Avengers Secret Wars movie coming in the future, and Secret Wars was the comic that introduced Doctor Doom, so, we're getting the Fantastic Four, and we have a confirmed cast for the Fantastic Four now, so all the pieces are coming into place. That wasn't coincidence that they announced the Fantastic Four cast right after that Deadpool trailer. So yeah. Great movie. A great trailer, I mean. God, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. So I was messaging you the other day about wanting to color my hair. I have since colored my hair, and it is a very vibrant purple now. And I like it. It's Sarah actually did it for me, and it turned out really, really good. It turned out really good.
Yes.
Yes.
So would you say that you are now a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater?
Sure, why not?
Oh, shit. Yeah, you remember that song?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you gave yourself a purple nurple on the head.
Pretty much. Yes. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the world of the colored-haired crazies. One of us, and all that gooble gobble and such.
Like when Sarah and I went to the mall. When Sarah and I went to the mall, we went for lunch, and we went to Sbarro's at Cherryvale Mall, and the first thing that the guy said to us both, because of her pink hair and my purple hair, the first thing dude says is, "Well, hello there, colorful people." I'm like, yes. Oh, this guy's got jokes. All right.
Yes. Excuse me, good sir. If you don't stop with the small talk and make my burrito, I'll show you exactly how colorful I can be.
Nah, he was pretty funny. They both the guy behind the counter like preparing the food and the cashier, they're both pretty funny. They were very yeah, no, they made us they made us both giggle.
Love it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, sounds like we'll have to update your avatar for the video version of the podcast.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. You know what this? I'm gonna have to update the art for the whole thing for the whole thing. Because I forgot your avatar's inside that TV screen on the podcast art, and so well, you know what? We are in the second season. I suppose it's time to change it up, anyways.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll work some magic and see what I can do.
All right.
Might not be right away, but we'll get it done.
You're right.
But we'll get your avatar for the video version updated at least.
Yes.
So for those of you who are watching the video version of this right now on YouTube, you may notice that his avatar now has purple hair.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Oh man. Yeah. What's going on with you?
So that's the end of your story, is it? Okay. Well, as for me, life has been mostly uneventful lately, aside from the, the same old on the YouTube front and all that. I've been trying to catch my good buddy Mythos, who watches a lot and comments on a lot of, if not almost everything I upload. He's been doing some live streams lately on Friday nights that I've been trying to catch, where he talks about his tabletop gaming stuff like Warhammer 4000.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And it's very interesting stuff. Like, most of it's completely Greek to me, but I'm one of those people that loves listening to people like talk passionately about the things, like their hobbies and shit,
Okay.
Like, to me, it's just very interesting, and I feel like, even if I don't fully absorb all of it, I feel like I come away from those situations having learned something, or having been somewhat more enlightened for the experience, so, and, I enjoy that. I like broadening my horizons, and even if it's something that I probably wouldn't invest the time and money into, it's the kind of thing that I do like watching other people do,
Right.
Yeah. So, I forgot to mention, folks, we won't be doing a traditional media corner in this episode, because the topic of this episode is we're going to be going back through every episode of the first season and revisiting each of our media corner entries from those episodes and talking about how we feel about them now in comparison to then. So, but only the first season. So everything from when I started to the Christmas special, but nothing from season 2. So, with that in mind, these things that I'm going to mention real quickly are going to get more attention in a media corner in a future episode, probably the next one we do. But I have been playing a lot of the Persona 3 remake recently, Persona 3 Reload, which I can just very briefly say, having played 4 and 5 first, this one is a little bit different going back to it, but they have modernized it quite a bit. They took all the quality of life improvements from Persona 5 and threw them into this one, and it's really good. It's really dark at times and stuff, but I'm addicted to the gameplay loop, just like the other ones. That whole thing of like half the game is you like living a normal life, hanging out with your friends, building relationships, working, going to school, and the other half is you going through a dungeon, killing monsters, and summoning personas to attack other ones with magic attacks like Pokemon, and then obtaining more personas like Pokemon, like that mix between those two things, like half slice of life visual novel and half turn-based JRPG is extremely addicting. It's a very extremely addicting gameplay loop. Especially building up your like all the stuff you do in normal life, like going to school and working and hanging out with friends, builds your relationships, builds your stats, like your charm, your knowledge, your courage, shit like that. And all of those things affect how you perform in battle on the other side of the game. So everything you do in the real world affects your other world stats. So it's really cool. Okay. And then the other game I've been playing is Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, which I'm only a few hours into, but I really enjoy it so far. Very comparable to things like God of War and Plague Tale in a lot of ways, but also very, very different in a lot of other ways. Like gameplay-wise, in terms of like traversal, environment setup, and combat, it's very similar to the newer God of Wars. All the way down to like squeezing through walls, climbing up ledges, stuff like that. It's one of those, what a lot of people are calling crevice crawler games, where it's basically a main character and their companion traveling together on a linear story-focused path and squeezing through walls a lot. Prime examples would be God of War, Plague Tale, and The Last of Us. So
that tracks.
Yeah, so it's very in line with those types of things, but your basic setup of it is that you're basically a medieval Ghostbuster. You get called out by your mentor who taught you how to be one to this place, but when you get there, he's already dead, and you go to fight the nightmare that killed him, and that nightmare ends up killing you, and now you're a ghost and helping your protege, try to work their way up to being able to fight the nightmare that you couldn't take down. So, and your protege also happens to be your husband. So you play the husband, Ghost Banisher, and his dead ghost wife. And it's, there's a lot of moral gray area in it. There is a lot of both pagan and Christian, lore and mythology stuff in there.
Okay.
Because there's like rituals and runes, like the Banishers have runes that they put on their rings that they use to, because a lot of there are parts where you solve hauntings, like investigations, you investigate it, and then you have to decide whether or not to banish the ghost to hell or allow it to ascend into heaven, or to kill the human that was involved in the situation. And a lot of it's morally gray, and sometimes you'll want to kill those people because they're bad people. But the game has two different endings you can get: one where your dead wife ascends, or the other where you bring her back to life. But in order to bring her back to life, it takes a lot of essence, which means you have to sacrifice a bunch of people. So it is considered the evil route to do that. So
gotcha.
But basically you and your ghost wife work together to solve hauntings, fight spectral creatures, and eventually gain enough power to banish this nightmare and lift the curse on the village that it's seeing over. It is like, I'm only a few hours in, but I'm really into it so far. Like, It definitely, the combat is a little janky, if I'm being honest. Not janky, stiff. The combat is stiff. But but I am really into it. My plan is, by the next time we record, to have finished the game at least once, because it's about 30 hours long. So my plan is to have finished it at least once so I can give it a full review on our next actual media corner. So that's my plan. Anyways, but I just want to talk about it a little bit here and now. But So I actually said way more about that than I initially intended to, but I feel like I feel like this is one that people are going to overlook, and I wanted to give it at least a little bit of I mean, I guess you could technically consider that a recommend, but I'm not. That's not a if anyone's keeping a spreadsheet or whatever, that is not a legitimate Media Corner entry. That was that was an offhanded mention. I will give it a proper review when I've finished it. So
Yeah.
Because I'm liking it now, but that doesn't mean I'll still feel the same way by the time it ends. But I at least wanted people to know what it's about, you know, in case that setup sounds interesting to anyone. Because it does to me. Game takes place in the 1600s, by the way, so that's what it has in common with, and it's happening while there's a curse over the town and there's a pestilence going on. So that's what it has in common with Plague Tale, is like the atmosphere and setting is a very like dark and dreary, you know. So it's like God of War gameplay in like a dark fantasy setting.
Okay.
Yep. With the unique, you know, haunting investigation section and the part that you have to use crafting items, by the way, to cast spells and runes to like summon ghosts and talk to them and stuff. So you'll find a lot of that as you're traveling around, like plants and mushrooms and leather and shit you can pick up, and you can upgrade your weapons too.
So. The runes part of that makes sense with the pagan side of things that you mentioned.
And there's like legitimate witches in this game too, like full on like, yeah, we use magic witches, but it's not in like the Harry Potter sense of, oh, the magic is in you, you know. It's in the sense of they use runes and plants and shit to like cast spells. It's ritualistic magic.
Right.
When you're traveling, you can actually pick up a lot of notes from people. Like, there's demonologists in this game that, like, they study that stuff. And I read some notes where one of them, like, opened a door to something bad, and then something bad happened to them, and you could find their leftover stash. And your character's like, these damn demonologists, they always fuck around with black magic. Always. You know? So... yeah, it's pretty enjoyable, actually. I like it. It's also from Don't Nod Studios, the people who made Vampire and Life is Strange. So,
okay.
So yeah, very enjoyable. But yeah, that's all that's really been up with me. I will say, like, I've worked a little more this week, just because like I had to cover a shift for someone, and then they needed me for some stuff, and I got more hours this week because a lot of other people like requested days off for things they had going on. But like next week,
fair enough.
I'm back to only being scheduled like one day. This shit's getting ridiculous. So I'm still looking for other work. So I think that hospital I applied at, there was 3 of us who applied, and they only needed 1 person. So yeah, and they think they picked someone else. So, but I don't feel so bad about that because I was up against 2 people. If it was just me and one other person, I would feel like the loser. But like, since there's another loser besides me, it doesn't hurt as much.
Right, that's fair.
That's how I felt when I applied for Aldi's and didn't get in because they were hiring like maybe 3 people, and I came there for an interview at one of those. They did that shit where they told like 17 people to all show up at the same time and did these like short, like 10-minute interviews with each one. Like there was a line of us just standing there waiting to be called in to talk to them. And I was like, yeah, this is such a rush job. You're not going to get like a real good feel for who you're hiring off of this like fast paced. This is like speed dating. This is the hiring equivalent of speed dating, you know? But yeah, I've thrown in some applications other places, like one of the local dollar stores and stuff like that, just to see. I will say, though, these past couple of days at the current job have been very interesting. Yeah, normally I work the back, you know, I do the pallets and I do some stocking, but they needed people up front recently, and I'm not really the best choice for that because I'm not the biggest people person, and I do have cashier experience, but like my experience is look, after I had been at Taco Bell for about 2 years, I started I started gaining some confidence with the customers, and when some of them would start to give me some bad energy, I would give it back sometimes. Or I had this way of I had this way of answering customers' questions sometimes, or like responding to stupid shit in a way where I was low-key insulting them, but it sounded like a compliment. So, and my coworkers my coworkers knew what I was doing, and they would laugh at it, and they would get a good chuckle out of it. But like, yeah, but there would be times where I would get asked ridiculous shit. Like when I was working there and I was doing cashiering at the front lobby first, I remember one time I was back doing dishes and they were like, "Hey, you got someone up front," and, because you got to go back there and do that when when there's no customers. And I walk up there and I ask them what they want, and this cranky old guy is like, "How come you're never up here when I come in?" Wait, I'm like, well, the boss says we're not allowed to just stand around when there's no customers. So, the corporate answer is, no, I'm sorry, we'll work on that. I give the honest answer.
Right.
Yes. Which is why fast food and retail isn't really meant for me, because I'm kind of blunt about those things. But yeah. This is, I feel like, and this is a great example, talking about the current job here, corporations, they make decisions that make no sense because they don't know what it's actually like on the floor, or they do things that are contradictory. So, like, we have self-checkout, and one of the main reasons for having self-checkout is people that, are more introverted, it's better for them. If people are choosing self-checkout, if they are keeping their head down, purposely avoiding eye contact, and beelining for self-checkout, that means they do not want to deal with cashier. They want to be left alone.
Right.
But corporate is very big on this whole, like, you have to, they want you to walk over there and basically smother these people and bother them and ask if you can help them. And I've gotten better at reading social cues, and I can tell when an introvert is trying to avoid being bothered. And
yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, I think, like, it is to the point where I think our manager is making some customers uncomfortable because she's being too friendly because corporate is so down her throat about it. And there's a lot of contradiction there because they want you to, like I said, do all that stuff with the self-checkout and help them with that, but they also want you to try and encourage them to come to you and use the cash register. And they force these annoying ass questions on the customers on the pin pads, and it's always like a hit a number for like how good your experience was, or did the cashier help you, hit yes or no. And like, people, they don't like that. They get annoyed. They just want to put in their pin number and leave. And most people will put a bad answer out of spite because it asked the question in the first place, even if it's not true. But corporate sees that, and they think that the employees are doing bad.
Right.
Shit's so stupid. I hate retail so much. Yeah. So, and there is like, because I actually had someone read the question out loud at one point, and they were like, "Was the cashier friendly?" And it said yes or no, and they were like, "Yes, too friendly." They hit the yes, but they were like, "Yeah, too friendly." The manager told me that there was a lady at the self-checkout. She went to help, and she's like, "Can I help you bag your items?" And the lady said, No, thank you, that's fine." And then the question came up at the end, "Did the cashier help you scan your items?" And she hit no. And the manager was like, "Well, why did you hit no?" And she's like, "Well, because no one helped me." And she was like, "But I asked if you needed help." And she's like, "Yeah, I didn't." She's like, "But I'm not going to lie. I'm going to answer the question honestly. No one helped me." She says, "It's not a bad thing, but it's just," and then she was like, "Well, no, if you answer like that, then it does look bad to the people above us. They think it's a bad thing,
Right.
And that's my mindset too. That's why I hate that kind of stuff. It's such a trap. You can't win. Like with jobs like that, you can't win. Nothing you do will ever be good enough in fast food and retail. Corporate will always find some way to move the goalpost. No matter what, if you reach the goalpost, they will move it further so that it's more out of reach.
It just further solidifies that robots will eventually take over the human job.
Yes. I do like that. I do get there is this town has a wide variety of people in it, and so because of how vibrant my hair is, because I just recently re-blew it, and I used Arctic Fox this time, so it's a lot more of a vibrant color than it was before. I don't like it as much as Iro though. Arctic Fox leaks too much. Like I wake up and my pillow is blue. Like
fair.
But and yeah, sometimes I wake up with a big blue stain on my arm too. So so, and I think it's just from sweating it out
Probably,
while I'm sleeping. But I get a lot of funny looks for the hair sometimes. And I also get a lot of compliments, so it really depends on who comes in. And the demographics are always interesting, because like today, for example, a lot of we're supposed to say hi, welcome to insert name of store here for everyone that walks in, right? And some people they are not feeling that. I think that's where that overly friendly thing comes in. And I know me as a customer, when I go to a store, I don't want to be greeted a bunch by the employees. I don't want to be walked up on and asked, can I help you find anything? Like, if I need help, I will ask for it. And I hate that they force them to do that, because I feel like an asshole saying no, but also, like, I'm super annoyed by the fact I'm being asked in the first place.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And so, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's one of those things where it should be reserved for when people ask for it. It shouldn't be forced on them. A lot of people are just trying to get their shopping done and go. And I'm not a fan of small talk either. So I hate the whole, this weather shit, even though we start every episode with this talking about the weather. But
that's why I like warehouse work, where I can actually be myself.
Yeah. But I will say that, like, yeah, saying hi to people that walked in today, some people, they completely ignore it. Some people, they smile and they're friendly. And some people just give weird looks. Like I said, I've gotten compliments on the hair, but also I've gotten weird looks, and the weird looks that I usually get are either from teenage girls or cranky old white farmer dudes, it's one of the two. It's either these teenage girls that are like, ugh, who's this creep talking to me? Or like the cranky old farmer dudes that are like, these goddamn blue-haired liberals ruining this country, So it's one of the two, but which is funny because teenage girls also happen to be one of the demographics I get compliments on my hair from too. So
right.
It's that one's pretty split. But yeah, it's usually people. It's also middle-aged women and dudes in their 20s that I get compliments a lot from too. So, but yeah, more or less, it's been a interesting couple of days. So I'm looking forward to having the next 2 days off and then going in on Tuesday. But yeah, I need to find something more substantial because this shit hurts the pocket.
I believe it, bro.
This shit hurts the pocketbook for real.
I believe it.
So yeah, well. Anyways, though. That's it for me. That's it for you. Little bit of a longer life update this week, folks, because, no media corner. But now we'll go ahead and transition into the topic, which is in and of itself a revisiting of the old media corner. We'll be going back all the way to the pilot of this show, all the way up to the Christmas special, and revisiting each of the items that we talked about on the media corner and seeing how we feel about them now, if at all. A lot of these things will probably get skipped over because we probably don't have an updated opinion on them, but there are a few things that we're definitely going to stop and talk about. So, yes. See you there. Okay, everyone, here we are at the topic, Media Corner Revisited. This is our this is something that I don't want to do this every season, but I do want to do it like every once in a while. Just kind of maybe look back on the stuff that we've talked about in previous episodes and revisit them, see how we feel about them now.
Yeah.
You know, and see, those of you who've been listening long term may remember that Nick wasn't an official part of the show until the third episode. Well, technically the fourth episode. He was a guest in the third one, and then the fourth episode came on as an official co-host. So the first two episodes, the pilot episode was just me, and the second episode, my brother was the guest on that. We talked about God of War Ragnarok, but it was also like a full episode too. So yeah, that was probably the only time where the topic of the episode was a spoiler cast, and then ever since then, I've decided to make those types of episodes their own standalone bonus episodes instead of being a topic of a normal one. So that way we can give more attention to the thing. And also because that way it's a lot more clear that this podcast is inspired by a mixture of a bunch of other podcasts and not a direct clone of one or two in particular, you know. Oh boy. But anyways, so I have a list. You have a list. Yes. And we're going to go down these lists.
Yes.
So, starting from the very beginning, in the pilot episode, I kind of piled on a shitload of Media Corner stuff, and I have all of that here. So, I'm just going to mention it. All of it. We're going to start at the very beginning, and of course it's fitting that the very first Media Corner thing that I would have ever talked about on this podcast was my favorite band, the Gorillaz.
Yes.
Nick, how do you feel about the Gorillaz? I think people have heard my thoughts on them enough. Give us your thoughts.
Considering that their song Feel Good Inc. is on my workflow playlist, I would say, yeah, it's definitely a great band.
Yeah, that's the that's the radio popular mainstream Gorillaz song, though, kind of like Clint Eastwood. Great songs, by the way, but those are the ones that everybody knows. How familiar are you with more of their album
newer
songs?
Stuff?
Not even so much newer stuff, but even just like some album songs. Like if someone was to play a random Gorillaz song from one of their albums, would you be able to recognize it as them immediately?
Maybe not at first. Maybe after listening for like a minute or two.
Fair enough.
Gorillaz I would eventually pick up on it.
The Gorillaz is one of those bands that all of their songs sound a little bit different. Each album feels like it's going for a different vibe, a different feel. You know, like their very first album was like a punk rock hip hop mix. You know, they've got some songs that border on techno. You know, some of their songs are like very like slow and melodic and smooth vibes, and some of their songs are more fast and chaotic. You know, they feature a lot of rappers in their songs throughout different songs. So a lot there are some songs of theirs where the featuring artist pretty much takes over the whole song, and if you didn't know it was Gorillaz, you probably wouldn't until you hear the lead singer come in. At that point, then you'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that voice. That's 2D. I know him. That's 2D being the fictional character. The actual singer is Damon Albarn.
Yeah,
the guy behind Gorillaz.
Yeah. I don't remember what song it was, but I remember distinctly when I was working security when I was doing security for Amazon. I was doing my rounds one night, and one of the area managers was playing some music by the Gorillaz on his big Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, okay. I see you, Robert. I see you.
Plastic Beach is probably one of their most popular albums. That one got a lot of attention from a wider audience because of it featuring artists like Snoop Dogg on it, and also because the music video for Stylo had Bruce Willis in it. And stuff like that. But I think one of the most popular songs from that album would be On Melancholy Hill. Like, up on Melancholy Hill, there's a plastic tree. Yeah, it was that album, by the way. All of their albums have a message. That one was about pollution.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Plastic Beach. Yeah, it's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the music videos didn't do were even less subtle, because they literally, after the band disbands and they all travel the ocean, they all end up on the same island at the end of it, and that island is made up entirely of garbage in the ocean that just fused together. So
Jesus.
Yep. So, and that's where their new recording studio was for that album, on Garbage Island, aka Plastic Beach. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then at the beginning of the next album, they move into a haunted house, and they had a VR music video for that one that was really cool. Like, that music video, if you have a VR headset, you can go on YouTube and watch that music video in VR and be like a 360 part of it. It's fucking awesome. But the music video itself was great, even though not everyone liked the song. But I still stick by them. I think in recent years, their song Silent Running that they did on their newest album, Cracker Island, Silent Running is probably not only the best song that they've ever done, in my opinion, but probably one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song of all time, period.
Fair enough.
Yeah, do yourself a favor and listen to that one at some point. There's something about it, I don't know how to explain it, but there's something about it that is it's very catchy. The chorus is like the biggest earworm I've ever heard in my life. There's a whistling in the chorus, and I swear to God that whistle is meant to be both like catchy and haunting at the same time. And especially in the context of what's happening in the music video. In the music video itself, the lead singer is about to be sacrificed to a giant monster by a cult, and the other band members are coming in to save them. And the lyrics, I think, are basically, depending on how you translate it, because Gorillaz are super cryptic, their lyrics make absolutely no sense half the time. But if you dig deep enough, you can find meaning, and I think that song is a guy about a guy who had his heart broken by someone that he loved, and I think that's kind of represented a bit in the music video, where the lead singer seems to be feeling betrayed by the cult leader who's doing this, and I guess the insinuation is that the cult leader is a woman that he trusted, It's actually a really cool music video. It's interesting because it goes along with the other music video they put out for this album, Cracker Island, and the song itself is called Cracker Island, where they are explaining to the police what happened at this cult meeting, because the police show up at the end of the other music video, and they released them in reverse order. I think it was intentional. They told the story backwards with this one. So but if you watch Silent Running and then Cracker Island in that order, they tell a story, and it's a really good one. They're both great songs, but Silent Running is. I'm gonna have to send it to you after this, man. That's the song you got to hear it at least once. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that is. Gorillaz are a great chill music for sure. They are
absolutely.
Yeah, great background stuff. I don't know how to explain it, but the melody that comes, I don't like all their songs. I do think some of them are painful to listen to. Like, some of them just don't sound right to me, but the ones that do sound right, they hit that melody in just the perfect way that reverberates with my soul. Speaking of music the next thing on the list, epic rap battles of history. I distinctly remember having shown you a bunch of these one time when we were hanging out.
Yes.
Tell me how you feel about these guys.
Dude, some of these rap battles are only something that a nerd's dreams could come up with.
Yeah. They're very good.
Dude, they're very creative.
Good lyricists. Yeah.
Very, yes.
It's crazy how they find ways to take these like historical facts or fun about actual historical figures or these trivia facts about fictional figures and tie them in to like well-worded puns and roasts and shit for these characters. Mm-hmm. It is very creative. I have to. Now the impressions aren't always the greatest, but like the lyrics, like the writing is genius. Like it's some really good writing.
Didn't they have Michelangelo versus Michelangelo at one point? Michelangelo,
Yeah, they had the Ninja Turtles versus the Renaissance artists of the same name.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. That was one of their shorter ones, and also the Renaissance artists were played by Rhett and Link and Smosh.
Okay.
Yep. Which, by the way, did you know they're back together, Smosh? I think I told you that.
I think you did. Yeah. I don't think I've seen any of their recent stuff though.
Ian and Anthony, yeah, they're doing skits together again because after one of them, like I think it was Anthony split for a while and was doing his own thing, and Ian was still part of Smosh, but he branched out and they brought other people in, and they had another channel called Smosh Games and stuff. So they have like a whole crew now of these different people. There's like a Jacob and Courtney and stuff, and they play like the Don't Laugh challenge, and they play video games together and stuff. Well, after Ian and Anthony got back together on their main channel, they started bringing these other cast members from Smosh Games and stuff into their skits now to play other characters.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. They've also been doing these interesting videos lately where they react to their old stuff. To like they'll sit there, and, like because they're a lot older and more mature now, so they'll like watch some of their older videos and like talk about the behind the scenes process of making it and like how cringe it is now and stuff. I will say though, they're very proud of the Assassin's Creed 3 rap that they did, which I agree that still holds up. That one was
right.
Good. But yeah, epic rap battles of history. Do you have a favorite of these that they've done? I gotta say, mine is probably Freddy Krueger versus Wolverine. That one was solid. That's one of them, anyways. Either that or Guy Fawkes versus Che Guevara. I really like the beat on that one. It's addicting.
Who was it that was versus Deadpool? I forget. Boba Fett.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think it was Deadpool versus Boba Fett. That was the one that really hit it for me.
They've had a lot of great ones, too. Stevie Wonder versus Wonder Woman, just because they both have Wonder in their name. It's a funny one.
Right.
The Steve Irwin versus Jacques Cousteau one was I like that one a lot.
Oh, that one was good. Hitler versus Darth Vader was interesting, too.
I think the best one, like the objectively best one they've ever done, like personal taste aside, objectively the best one is Teddy Roosevelt versus Winston Churchill. That one is brutal, and it's basically a unstoppable force versus an unmovable object.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was great, and those are two pretty like well-known historic figures. Theodore Roosevelt, and that's who Robin Williams played in Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one too, and the beat for that one has a very like steampunk old film sound to it, It's like a mixture of like it's like a mixture of like the steam engine era with like old black and white film muffled audio sound. At least in the beginning it is, and then it picks up and goes hard. It's like really well done. By far the best one they've ever done in terms of impressions, lyrics, music, special effects, insults, like historical factual accuracy. Like they got that one down perfectly. And these characters are usually played by Epic Lloyd and Epic Lloyd and Nice Peter. Yeah, Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd, the two main guys. But in that one, they got Dan Bowl to come in and play Winston Churchill, and then Epic Lloyd played Theodore Roosevelt. So Nice Peter wasn't in that one. He was in the most recent one they've done was Harrison Ford versus Karl Marx. No, not Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Not Harrison Ford. Shit. Let me look it up. It's
Indiana Jones?
No, so they did do a Tomb Raider, or they did do Lara Croft versus Indiana Jones recently, which was like about a year ago, which was really good. But no, their most recent one, Henry Ford versus Karl Marx. Henry Ford, the father of Ford, versus Karl Marx, the leader of the Marxist movement. So, yeah, that one is really good too. That one is very good for the historical accuracy. Another really good one that goes hard, and since you worked at Amazon, you'll appreciate this. There's one that is it is
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Mansa Musa versus Jeff Bezos. Yeah, basically Mansa Musa was the ninth Mansa of the Mali Empire, and it's suggested he was the wealthiest person in history. So
oh shit.
They put him up against Jeff Bezos for being, like Mansa was like he was like kind of a tyrant, and he was involved in the trading of ivory, slaves, spices, and stuff like that. So that's why they put him and Jeff Bezos against each other, because they were both basically businessmen that rule through evil. So like through unethical actions. Yeah. So I think since you worked at Amazon, you'll like that one. Mansa has a great line of making fun of Jeff Bezos, where he says, "If you want workers that don't have to pee, then hire camels." Or something along those lines. But basically calling him out for not letting his employees use the bathroom, basically.
Right.
So I think you'll enjoy that one. That's another thing I'll have to send you.
Okay.
But yeah. Let's see. Crisis Core Remaster. I'm gonna fly over that one real quick because I hadn't finished it at the time of doing that episode, but obviously I've finished it a couple times since then. What I said still sticks. It's a pretty solid remaster. A couple of issues here and there. Zach's new voice actor isn't the greatest, but otherwise faithful to the original and a good part of the story for the overall Final Fantasy VII thing. It's like I played the PSP version. I wasn't expecting it. I already knew how the story was going to go. I was just playing this to play it. High on Life. If you want to know how I feel about that after having finished it, watch my CinemaSins video for it. There you go. That's all I can say about that one. Which most people already have. Yeah, and like honestly, once is enough on that one because it's Justin Roiland is too much for some people, and I don't blame them. The Black Phone, still a great movie. Anyone who hasn't seen it needs to see it. One of the best horror movies of 2022 or 3, 2023.
Count me in that group of people because I still need to see it.
Yes, short story based on a short story written by one of Stephen King's sons, starring Ethan Hawke as the villain. Very well done ghost movie where the ghosts are the good guys. Must watch for everyone.
Okay.
Glass Onion. Still really enjoyed that one, but not as good as Knives Out. Almost as good as Knives Out, but not quite. More comedy focused in comparison. But my opinion of it hasn't changed since I saw it. I still think Knives Out is probably like one of the best mystery movies ever made, and probably sits somewhere in my top 20 movies of all time. So,
okay.
Glass Onion I wouldn't give the same honor, but I do think is good. It's just more comedy focused, different kind of mystery, and it's got Edward Norton in it. So there's that too.
There you go.
Game Grumps. Let me ask you, have you watched any Game Grumps, Nick? Aaron, Ego Raptor, and Dan.
I don't believe I have.
Okay. I mean, I might have thrown them on in the background here and there when we were hanging out, but I do think I want you and I to do to play Google Feud sometime, maybe even as a podcast episode. So I think
okay.
I think I'll have you watch the Game Grumps episode of that so that you know how the game works.
Okay.
I do think, as far as Let's Players go, I think if you were gonna, because I know you don't watch like every game that I play, just select ones. So if there was a Let's Player that I think you would probably watch on the regular because it hits your style of humor and editing and all that, it would definitely be them, because Aaron's style of humor is 100% up your alley. It is about 70% toilet humor coming from him. So
Ego Raptor
and fart jokes and shit like
Ego
that.
Raptor?
Yeah, so yeah. It's this, they have this.
Yeah, no, I fucking love Ego Raptor, bro. I love Ego Raptor. He's always been one of my favorite YouTubers.
Well, he is one half of Game Grumps. That's his Let's Play channel. Him and Danny Sexbang from the band Ninja Sex Party. You may remember that that Dan and his band Ninja Sex Party got together with Ego Raptor to make Starbomb. Yep, and they did 3 albums.
Yes. I remember.
So I will say this, even though Dan's band is the one that's named after a sex thing, when in the actual Let's Plays, Ego Raptor is definitely the more juvenile one. Dan usually has to rein it in.
Fair enough.
It's funny because he will watch. You know what? I'm gonna send you the playlist for their playthrough of Super Mario Wonder, because that's probably they go after each other in that one, because Dan's playing as Yoshi so he can't die, so he just tittles around and tee-hee-hees, and Aaron gets legitimately mad because he's like, Dan, stop running! You're missing all the secrets! I'm trying to get all the secrets! Stop moving! And then Dan will troll him and he'll be like, oh, Aaron, whatever are you talking about? It's Dan's definitely the more mature one, though. He will have to rein him in. Aaron will start repeating the same joke like 17 times, and then Dan will be like, okay, all right, let's focus, Aaron. So and he calls him out too for things like, he'll complain, he'll be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, and he's like, well, maybe you should have read the tutorial. So hearing them go at each other's throats is great. It's great. Fun dynamic. CinemaSins. I know you've watched some of them. How do you feel about CinemaSins?
Pretty solid, yeah.
I do enjoy them. They've had some great stuff lately. They went pretty hard on the Marvels, I'm not gonna lie. They were not nice to that.
Did they?
One, but yeah.
I was actually gonna try and catch the Marvels before we recorded this, but I don't know. Just ran out of time, I guess.
things happen.
Yeah.
I like them too. I will say though, in recent years, I find myself, and I never did a Media Corner entry about him, but I think you'd probably agree with me because we watched a bunch of his shit too. But Ryan George's Pitch Meeting series, similar concept, making fun of all the flaws in the movie, but the way he does it, I think, is a lot funnier. To be sure. But
the pitch meetings, yes, those are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, very similar, but I think I definitely I think his style of humor definitely is funnier for that type of thing. Everything Everywhere All at Once still stands as what I think was the best movie of the year it came out, which I think that was 2022. Yeah, 2022. I
think so, yeah.
Best movie, hands down, best movie of 2022, easily for me. So, I know you haven't seen it yet, so I'll keep going.
Not yet.
I talked about that one before, but Ozark. I unfortunately have not watched any of this. This was my brother's recommendation when he was a guest on the show.
Neither have I.
I mean, I know what it's about, and I do want to watch it at some point, but unfortunately I haven't yet, so we will keep going. My Hero Academia. So, I know we can both talk about this one now. I'm a lot further in the show now than I was at that point.
Yeah.
So,
I can't talk about it as much as you, but I can talk about it a little bit. I like it. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I like it.
Yeah, you made it to the end of the first season, and that's about as far as you need to get in that show to decide if you like it or not. After you see the fight at the end of the first season, that really sets the tone for the rest of the show. And yeah. Yep. So you're in season 2 during the tournament, I believe. Yeah, I'm in I just caught up recently on finishing season 6, and things have gotten wild in this story, and Ryan knows more than me because he reads the manga, and that's way ahead of the show. But
right,
these showdowns with the villains go from being skirmishes to battles to straight up wars at some point in this show. So, and there has been a lot of death. There has been a lot of permanent disfigurations of characters due to injuries and stuff like that. It gets dark. It gets violent. And
I believe
there is a point in the story where I'm at now where, well, I'm a little bit past it now, but there is a pretty interesting arc in the story where the main character, after he comes into a lot of his powers later down the line and learns how to control them, he goes off on his own for a while in a part of the story that's known as the Dark Deku arc, and he basically becomes like Batman for a bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Okay. Really cool story part. So I'm glad you're into it, though. You will have to revisit this once you are more caught up on it.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Dr. ER, this is a YouTube channel. Have you ever seen any of his videos?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So what this is he's a guy he's an actual doctor, legit, doctor, works in the surgery department in the ER. So he's seen a lot of shit, and he's gone to medical school and all that. So what he does is he watches clips from things like Family Guy, Saw, Happy Tree Friends, South Park, different horror movies, different video games like Dead Space, Elden Ring, Mortal Kombat, shit like that. And he judges not only the medical and anatomical accuracy of these things, I've seen clips from Invincible where characters get their arms cut off, and he'll pause and zoom in on the stump, and he'll be like, "Oh, they got the muscle detail very accurate, nice," and shit like that, and then he will talk about like in reality what would actually happen if you suffered from these injuries, like what's survivable, what's not, what he's seen in the ER, and like when shit's over the top, like in Happy Tree Friends, he'll be like, what? No, that wouldn't happen. He's like, it would actually be like this. Yeah, so it's great. I love him. And all of his videos are really short, bite-sized. There's not a single one longer than 10 minutes. So,
okay. I have to. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
It's educational. To be.
I feel like I would. I feel like I would really get a huge kick out of the Happy Tree Friends videos that he does.
Yeah. They actually very recently put out a new episode, and that's one of his recent videos is reacting to that. So.
Really? Okay.
Yep. All right.
Perfect.
I'm going to go ahead and skip over these next two. Well, actually, no. I'm going to ask you, since you listen to metal music, are you familiar with Scumfuck? Is a band my brother recommended.
Never heard of them.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and skip over that and the next thing, too, because, you don't like Call of Duty, and although I respect it, Warzone is a battle royale that I don't want to touch, but that was, my brother talked about that one for a bit, and I know that he's into it.
Yeah.
Stray, on the other hand, was a really good game. I did
play some of that. I didn't get the opportunity to beat it before they took it off of PlayStation Plus. So I do eventually want to buy it so I can finish it.
Yes, yeah. I like the tone of that one too because it's a cute game with a cat but takes place in a post-apocalyptic hellhole with these monstrosity like mutated parasites basically that are chasing you around certain scenes of the game, and they're there are moments of the game where it kind of turns into a horror game for a couple minutes, when you're running from those things. So,
a little bit, yeah.
I love the vibe, I do. And it's very puzzly, the way that you have to escape them. Sometimes you have to be smart because you have to, like, get them to follow you to a specific spot, and then you have to, like, jump up onto something and run around the other way to get past them while they're distracted, or you have to, like, flip a switch on a gate to get them like locked into one area so that you can sneak past through the other area. Yeah, very
I know
like
exactly what part. I don't know exactly which one you're talking. Which part you're talking about. I believe I'm stuck on that part right now.
Just environmental puzzles, but those are the kind of things. If you get stuck on those, if you just look it up on YouTube and watch exactly how someone else did it, then
that's exactly what I had to try to do. Yeah.
And once you see how to do it, it becomes easier, but then it's still a matter of actually pulling it off,
Right.
Because some of those, it's just about it's about timing. Like you have to be fast.
Exactly.
But that game is worth getting through all of it to see the end. The ending is great. I don't want to spoil the ending for anyone for sure, but it gave me a similar level of existential crisis as Soma did. But it also gave me a little hope for the future. I definitely think this game is going to get a sequel at some point.
Yeah, no, I think it should.
Another YouTuber, ProZD, this guy voices the squirrel, the talking squirrel, in God of War Ragnarok. He became famous for doing funny skits about anime and Disney stuff and video games and RPGs on his YouTube channel, and he's good at doing different voices, and the different voices that he does has led him to actually get a legitimate voice acting career. He's been in tons of cartoons and video games at this point now. And he's still making YouTube videos on top of it. These funny little skits.
Nice.
So, I love it. Yeah, he's hilarious. His skits are spot on, very, very accurate too. So, have you seen any of his stuff?
I know you sent me the video that he made that you were talking about in that episode.
Oh yeah, the one about YouTube's policies about cursing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did they say a no word? Yeah.
Yes.
I love him. Yeah, but that's the guy. That's the guy who voices that squirrel that guards the tree in Ragnarok. Among many other things, he's been in a lot. If you just look up his list of his voice work, you might be surprised what you've heard him in.
Okay.
God of War Ragnarok. I know I gave all my thoughts on that in that spoiler-filled episode. I know you have played more of the game since then. So tell me, where are you now, and how you feel about the game?
Am stuck after I am right now. I forget what part of the game I'm in because it's been a minute since I played.
I remember one of the last times we talked about it, you said you visited the Norns recently.
Yes, I got past that. Then Kratos and Freya?
Yes.
Are off doing something, and I get the I get the environmental puzzle done, and I got all the stuff like open that needs to be open. But then I'm stopped by these two monsters, and I don't. I think I think what you were telling me I should do was dodge a lot.
Okay.
Like, I am like I'm stumped. Like, but I've tried the dodging. I'm stumped at this point, and I wanna play more of it, but I am stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as like boss battles go and stuff, walkthroughs can show you a good strategy, but actually pulling it off is still something that you have to be able to do. But in games like that, attacks that shine red usually mean dodge out of the way, and attacks that shine yellow mean you have a chance to parry if you block at the right time. And
right
in those types of games, they want you to try to block and time your block so that you're blocking at just the last second, so you parry instead and stun the enemy, so that you can get a bunch of hits in while they're stunned.
That makes sense.
That's a big part of it. But also like your there are some I can't remember which one I had, but there was a rune I had equipped that basically I think if I died it gave me a second chance with a full. I always had the revive thing on me in that game, so that if I did die I would get like a second chance with a full health bar. Whatever that thing is that you can buy or upgrade or whatever, I always had one on me. So
makes sense.
That just to be safe, I would have to actually see where you are in the game in order to help any further than that. I would have to actually see it with my own eyes. But okay. You talked about GTA Online in the first episode you were in. Have there been any changes or updates to that of significant notice since then, or has it been pretty much the same?
It's been pretty consistent.
Okay. Are you still playing a bunch of that, or have you been, like, kind of veering off into other things recently?
Veering off into other things recently. I still pay for GTA Plus, but,
Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh.
Okay, so little side conversation. Still Grand Theft Auto related, but since dyeing my hair purple, one of my coworkers had called me the Florida Joker.
Oh,
you know how
yeah.
they use the Florida. Yeah, you know how they use the Florida Joker. He's like, yeah, just don't sue Rockstar Games. I'm like, wait,
Of course.
I see what you did. I think he dude gave up on trying to sue Rockstar, and now he just wants to voice the character.
Fair enough. Um, like I said before,
Rockstar
audience
wasn't going to
too.
give him the time of day.
No, not at all. Excuse me. Like I said before, too, audience. Some of these things I'm going to speed fire through for the sake of time and because there's not much more to say about them. But the YouTube channel Casual Geographic continues to be one of the most fun and educational channels out there. For animals, really, he's really funny and informative when talking about animals, and he is not afraid to correct his mistakes. Sometimes he may say something that he thought was true at the time, and he'll come back in a later video and be like, I messed up, y'all. I said something that wasn't true, and now I'm going to update it. So I respect him for that.
Yeah.
PS Ready was a YouTube channel that you shouted out because they helped you set up your PS5. Have you watched any more of their stuff since then, or was it just kind of for that?
It was kind of for that. I mean, I still watch some of their stuff every once in a while. I find it's few and far in between at this point.
Right. All right. Fair enough. All right. We'll move on.
I'm not on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube as much. Manifest still holds up.
Right.
I will never not have a different opinion on that show.
Putting the pause button on that real quick for the YouTube thing, I have to say it's actually the opposite for me. Most of what I watch these days is on YouTube, but that's because a lot of the channels I watch are like, like What Culture Gaming and Watch Mojo that do these like list videos that are like kind of easy to consume in quick sessions. Or I watch like, Game Grumps or Markiplier do Let's Plays to help, not only give myself more inspiration, but, it helps me see these games that I'm probably never going to play myself. Like I watch Game Grumps play Sonic Forces from start to finish. So, for example,
there you go. Okay.
Yeah, and YouTube stuff for me is just easier to consume when I'm doing something like the dishes or something I don't have to pay a lot of attention to. But if I'm sitting down and watching something that needs a lot of attention, like Yellow Jackets or something like that, I'm pulling that up on the TV or
Right.
But yeah, Manifest, it wasn't over yet by the time you talked about it before. Now it is over. So, is there anything new that you want to say about it?
Dude.
I haven't watched it yet, so I can't say anything.
They could not have ended it any more perfectly.
Okay. I'm glad you were happy with it.
Bro, like, the Manifestors got the ending they deserved. Like, that's
works for
me.
I'm
glad Netflix decided to pick it up and do it justice.
I'm going to have to give it a watch eventually. How about Lucifer? Yes. Is that still going?
No, that ended on season 6. You finished that? Also, yes, that one also still holds up, and I feel strongly about it, just like I do about Manifest.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that one too at some point. That one is,
dude. Tom Ellis as Lucifer, fucking hilarious. Oh my god.
And that's a DC Comics show, so that's on my list of things to watch too. Speaking of, by the way, Manifest and Lucifer and other shows that have like religion as part of their lore, I do want to watch The Good Place eventually too. The one with Kristen Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of amazing things about that. So, but Lucifer is also a DC Comics show, so that's another reason I want to watch it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because he had a crossover with the Arrowverse on Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
The Cuphead show. I know I talked about that a bit. I know your daughter is a fan of this show. How do you feel about it?
I, 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 I catch myself watching it with her whenever she watches it.
Oh, of
Because it
course,
does. It reminds me of like old timey Ren and Stimpy shit.
It does, yeah. The animation is very similar, and even some of the crudeness of the humor, but not quite as crude. It's like,
right.
I would say not so much crude humor as crude animation, on purpose, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, the animation is Ren and Stimpy, but the humor is more Looney Tunes, I would say.
Uh-huh.
But I feel it. Yeah, it definitely gives me that Rubber Limbs classic Disney vibe to a degree, for sure. Um, the Last of Us, you still haven't finished this show, right?
No, I have not.
Okay. But yeah, for me, The Last of Us is controversial opinion, but I think the show does the story more justice than the game did, quite frankly, and
and that's saying a lot.
The expanded lore in the show adds a lot to the story. I think the cast, they absolutely nailed the casting.
Yeah, I from what I have seen, I can agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I like the world building for other characters too that you don't really get as much backstory for in the game. You get backstory for them, but it's all in documents that you have to pick up and read. In the show, the camera gets to focus on other people, because in the game you're playing as Joel, so it only focuses on him and Ellie the whole time. But you get to see other characters' perspectives in the show, and that's awesome. And I cannot wait for season 2. And how they're going to handle this very controversial story of The Last of Us Part 2.
Right.
I'll be excited to hear more of your thoughts on this after you've caught up on it. Yeah. Clerks 3, a movie I unfortunately still haven't seen. You had a lot to say about it when you first talked about it.
Yeah, man, because before I watched the third one, I had only ever seen the second one. So I went back and I watched the first one, the second one, and then Clerks 3. And it hit different after watching all three back to back.
An emotional roller coaster, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
So your feelings on it haven't changed at all?
No, not by a long shot, no.
Do you have any updated opinions on it then? Or
no,
is it still all pretty much okay?
Still pretty all the same, yeah.
All right, we won't focus on it too much then, but this next thing, Bendy and the Dark Revival, I gotta be honest, everyone may remember I gave that a 6 out of 10 on my rating for it, just because of some of the mechanics I was annoyed by and shit, even though the game it does a lot of good, there's a lot of parts of it I didn't like. I am having a lot more fun watching myself play it as I'm editing it than I did actually playing it. So
fair enough.
Now you've been watching my Let's Play of it, and you're up to
Yes, I have.
Oh, you're actually fully caught up because you talked to me about Joey Drew the other day. So you are 7 out of 11 episodes into this game. So basically 3/4 of the way through watching it. How do you feel?
I'm liking it. It's
okay.
I'm looking forward to each and every episode that you put out. I look forward to the jump scares, and you deliver every time, bro.
Yeah, that game has some annoying jump scares, to be sure. Great reactions
and if I'm not last episode that you put out, I found myself giggling because Yeah. that thing you let out of the box earlier in the game. The thing that you let out of the box earlier in the game. Oh yeah. Just back to back to back to back. I'm like
in the game's credit, though, you will notice that happened a lot after I first opened the box for like 3 episodes in a row, but the last 2 episodes, it's been a lot more sparing. They slowed down on it eventually, they thankfully. Did.
And then, Joey Drew gives off major Walt Disney vibes, considering the game is literally about... considering the game is literally about an old animation studio.
And at the end of the most recent episode, we run into the real Bendy, not the evil ink demon one, but the actual like cartoon character, the good one. And he's definitely meant to be like reminiscent of like classic Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse style. Yeah. You know? Yeah, so in the next episode you can look forward to him being a traveling companion for a while. There are not everyone in that game is out to get you. There are some friendly NPCs too. So that's a good thing. You may remember earlier in the game we met one named Alice who helped us out and disappeared. We will see her again before the end. She will come back. So, and also like... her evil doppelganger is one of the bosses in the game, and I think that's a part you'll like a lot because it's like almost like a saw trap at that point where she has you at a tea party and you have to solve a puzzle correctly, and if you get it wrong, you get electrocuted. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a very interesting villain monologue in that one. And then you have to do a boss battle against her where you're hiding behind walls while she shoots at you with a Tommy gun.
I was okay. So I don't remember which episode it was, but I was when one of the days I had gotten my daughter off the school bus, I had paused one of the videos, and then when I got my daughter back in the house, I went to play the video. She's like, "Are you watching Bendy?" I'm like, "How do you know what Bendy is? Bendy is a scary game. How do you know what Bendy is?" Apparently one of her friends that she knows has a Bendy doll.
Mm-hmm. So Bendy and
he watches
Machine.
He watches a bunch of Bendy videos on YouTube.
Yeah, so because of Let's Players like Markiplier and such, games like Bendy and the Ink Machine, Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy's Playtime, all that stuff, those are considered kid-friendly horror games, essentially, because they don't have any cursing, they don't have any gore.
Fair.
They do have jump scares, but they're cartoons at best. So yeah, so they are considered like the majority of people who watch Let's Plays of those particular horror games are like middle and high school children.
That's fair.
So
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty because of the Let's Players who popularized them. They're pretty big among that market. But obviously you're not. I would say those horror games are safe like for kids that age to watch, not play, but watch. But it depends on who they're watching play it too, because some of the Let's Players have a mouth on them. But like yours truly. But
yes.
But no kid should be playing or watching games like Outlast, for example, or
no.
I would even argue Resident Evil might be too much. Depending on the age.
With that. Yeah.
So, but like Bendy is a cartoon. It's like the only way that game becomes it's dark it is dark and disturbing in the way that will go over children's heads because it's not violent.
Yeah.
They don't understand the existential dread parts of it. They just see like somebody, their favorite YouTuber reacting to jump scares is what they, that's they don't understand the deeper philosophy of the narrative by any means, unless they're secretly little, one of them like secret genius kids that, like goes to college at the age of 5. You know what I mean? Like
Sheldon.
Yeah, exactly. But also Sheldon is not the kind of kid that would spend time watching horror games on YouTube. He would probably find it beneath him. So
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm glad you're enjoying that. There's a lot more to look forward to. I will tell you, in upcoming episodes, we will run into a new enemy type that are basically these, I don't know how to explain them. They are these sluggish, slithering monstrosities that are made of, like, half ink and half robot parts. They have arms, they have, like, one eye that's like a spotlight, that you have to avoid being seen by, and, like, the bottom half of their body is, like, just one long ink tail that basically slides along the ground. So, they are interesting, and there are a couple moments where I'm trying to sneak past them where that random jump scare bitch gets in the way. So, that'll be fun. All right, yeah, moving on. Velma, I have watched more of this since then, and my opinion has not changed. I still hate this show so much. It is, but, like, I promised I would finish it, and I'm going to finish it, but god damn, it's not sticking with me, because I can barely tell you what happened in the last couple episodes, besides Velma getting her teeth knocked out by a police car. I remember that.
Fair enough.
Oh, and there was like they did like a woman's self-defense class, and Velma and Daphne were like destroying the competition. I remember that.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. There are a couple of jokes that land here and there that make me smirk, but for the most part, the show is just like appeals to nobody. Like,
fair.
I don't know. It is so hard to pinpoint what it was actually going for here. Like,
right.
It's like I said before, what really sold it for me was the part where they were like, 420 is just code for adults who still watch cartoons, and I'm like, are you like, who is this show for? Because it's any demographic that it's supposed to appeal to, it goes out of its way to alienate. So I don't understand what exactly, like, I can't tell if that joke was meant to be snobby or self-aware satire. I genuinely can't tell.
Fair enough.
Like, it feels like they're towing the line between both, like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and I think the show just should pick a lane and stick with it.
Right.
But I know you finished it and you liked it. Yeah. So, yeah, we talked about that one before, and I wonder if your opinion of it would change if you watched it a second time. You know what I mean? Like, if you watched it again.
Maybe.
No. WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. You talked about that event before it happened. It has since happened. How was it?
Oh, man. So the match oh man. We're in the midst of WrestleMania season as we speak, and all I want to talk about is what's going on right now. But this is last year's. Cody Rhodes, if I'm being honest here, Cody Rhodes was supposed to finish his story last year at WrestleMania by stripping Roman Reigns of the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship title. He did not finish his story. He lost that match. By way of interference, outside interference from Solo Sikoa, who is one of the now many members of the bloodline behind Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns basically has this, mind you, they're all blood related, but all of the people that he has behind him, his goons, his cousins, whatever you want to call them, are the reason he is holding on to this title. Because there's been multiple times where Roman has almost lost his title, and the only reason he keeps hanging on to it is because the bloodline still exists. It is not fully crumbled like it should have.
Okay.
There was a small crumble in the bloodline when the Usos lost their undisputed tag team championships to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have since lost the undisputed tag team titles. But I mean, those two matches, that and Dominic Mysterio getting his ass beat by his own daddy, fucking
so
just inducted to the Hall of Fame, Rey Mysterio.
Okay, I'm guessing all of this is more or less to say that what's currently going on in wrestling, in hindsight, kind of changes how you feel, and some of how the stuff from last year's event hits. Basically, like,
yeah, it's a bit
like
different. I fluctuate.
You feel differently about it, and you feel differently about it now than you did then. In light of what's happening currently, basically.
I still feel that Roman Reigns needs to crumble, though. That feeling is still there, though. I do feel like someone needs to dethrone his ass. Like he's had that title creeping up to like 1,400 days.
Okay.
He has been undefeated.
We're gonna
you'll need to stop me at this point because I can keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll rapid fire a few things here, just very briefly. Has your opinion of 2K23 changed at all since last year?
I mean, I usually only play the games to make dream matches. So I mean, it serves its purpose. It's a game. I love these games. I get them every year. But no, my opinion has not changed. It's still really good.
Brief side tangent, by the way, folks. Speaking of the WWE 2K insert year here games, the horror YouTube channel I like, Dead Meat, they do every year a horror Royal Rumble where they take the custom character creator from these wrestling games and they make horror movie icon characters with the custom character creator, like Michael Myers and the guy from American Psycho and Jennifer from Jennifer's Body and shit like that. And then they basically pit these characters against each other and see who wins. And they live stream it on their YouTube channel and stuff. A lot of work goes into it, so it's worth checking out because they're both wrestling fans and horror fans, so they get into this a lot. They are also doing they also do every year the Dead Meat Horror Awards because horror movies often get snubbed at the Oscars, so Dead Meat covers that. And since they are Hollywood insiders, it is considered official. They do get actual like celebrities and shit on the show too. They did their first big official one last year. And they have the next one is coming up this year sometime in March. And it'll be live streamed when it happens, but then, it can be watched normally after that. But yeah, it's basically the horror Oscars, and it's exclusive to Dead Meat's YouTube channel. And Saw X got a lot of nominations. Thanksgiving got a few nominations. Talk to Me got several nominations for different categories. Like, I'm looking to forward to this.
Okay.
This year. So, yeah, speaking of which, Megan, really good. Movie still rap fire. That my opinion hasn't changed. It's still one of the best horror comedies of 2023.
Absolutely.
That came out. I actually think Megan is nominated for a few things at the Dead Meat Horror Awards as well. Because they're focusing basically on stuff that came out in 2023. So, and I keep forgetting Megan was a very early 2023 release, like January, February of that year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. So you talked about this, and I hadn't seen it yet at that point, but I did watch it with you after the fact, and yeah, that is a very, very enjoyable, if extremely stupid movie. So
yes.
It was like the death, the gore in that movie is brutal. The image of that lady falling out the ambulance and getting her face torn apart by the pavement is still stuck in my head. Like that was nuts. That's just a shit situation because she was strapped to the gurney. Like there was nothing she could have done but just say her goodbyes. Like
yeah.
Yeah, so that is like that movie is really enjoyable, but also really fucking stupid. It's probably like a 7 out of 10 for me. But it's not a bad 7. It's a good 7.
Okay.
Yeah. High side of liked it.
Okay.
A C plus, if you will.
Okay.
Give it that. So, Hogwarts Legacy, I still haven't played it yet, and I'm guessing that your opinion hasn't changed.
So, my
opinion
changed a little bit, and I think I talked about that maybe several episodes back, but I wish I could go back and play it for the first time again with the same enjoyment, because I want to play it that way 4 different times, because there's an exclusive mission for each house. But there's a bit of
the rest of the game.
The rest of the game is it's pretty repetitive. But there is an update with Hogwarts Legacy. Some news, might I add. Coming up on the anniversary of the 1-year anniversary of the game, they're talking about adding DLC to it. Official DLC that they initially had no plans for DLC before. Let me see if I can find something on it real quick. It says, as we near the 1-year anniversary of Hogwarts Legacy, we wanted to let our community know that the Hogwarts Legacy PlayStation exclusive content will be available on other platforms later this summer, along with additional updates and features for the game. Stay tuned in the coming months for more details on what's coming to Hogwarts Legacy this year. That was posted January 26th. Since then, I believe...
So there's DLC coming, but you don't know what it is yet, basically?
No, I've heard from different sources, like they might be opening up like online play and potentially opening up the
okay.
also opening up the Quidditch portion of the game, because there was talks about like doing a separate Quidditch game altogether, but then there was and then after they had said something about that, they never really came into fruition. So I think Portkey Games was waiting. Warner Brothers and Portkey Games were like waiting for like something to come along like up in the ideas department for Hogwarts Legacy for to open up the because the Quidditch thing is the Quidditch stadium is basically just a meetup spot. There's no you can't play Quidditch, nothing. And a lot of people were really looking forward to playing Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy, and it never came. So I firmly believe that Quidditch, they'll be opening up the Quidditch field with this new DLC or update or new features that they're talking about.
I sure as hell hope so, because that's actually I didn't know that Quidditch wasn't in this game, and that's disappointing to hear because I've seen gameplay and I know that there is flying that you can do.
Yeah.
And
Oh no, absolutely there is.
And so that's disappointing to hear. And I'm going to play this game eventually, but that might have just bumped it a little bit further down the list until they update it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I would not blame you.
Okay. All right. The next thing, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I still
Yes.
stand by. This may be one of the best, if not the best, movie in the entire Shrek continuity.
Yes.
Quite
I, I
frankly.
like I like
And I know
I like
that's
his little beard.
I know that's saying a lot, putting it up against the original Shrek, but man, this movie did
Yeah, no,
something.
it is.
It also like the original Spider-Verse movie definitely popularized this new like low frame rate animation style that a lot of movies have been bringing in. And Puss in Boots, it's not like that the whole time, but there are some scenes where they do that, and it's really cool when they do. It definitely
Hell
stands
yeah.
out. It's a very stylistic animation. The
Yes.
latest Ninja Turtles movie is like that too, by the way. Mutant
Sure
Mayhem
is.
or whatever it is.
Yeah, Mutant
Yeah. Oh, you've
Mayhem.
seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I have not, but I've heard good things. So, I'm going to. Wow, I can't believe you didn't do a media corner entry for that.
I don't know why I didn't.
Okay,
That came out
well,
a while
always time
ago.
in the future. It is
Yeah.
never too late to It is never too late to recommend anything on this show. Like anytime we do a
I mean,
media
you're not
corner,
wrong.
you could recommend or even review something as old as Casablanca if you wanted to.
You're not wrong.
I just usually tend to focus on newer shit myself for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Not always though, but
Right.
I mean, you have talked about older stuff. You talked about the Goon movies at one point, so
Yeah.
um but yeah. The Resident Evil 4 remake is still a great game. Resident Evil 2 remake still probably my favorite in the remake setups that they've done. But I finished it since I talked about it then, and it's still great. I'm glad that they replaced the dumbass instant fail quick time events boss battle at the end of the game with an actual boss battle this time. So that was cool. The minecart section was cool. Just really cool game overall. I haven't played the Separate Ways DLC yet, but I will soon. So, Super Mario Brothers movie, opinion of that has not changed. I still think it's a faithful adaptation. A very enjoyable movie for people who grew up with the games, and I cannot wait to see where it goes next. With the
I
the
can't wait
series.
either. Yeah, no.
Um,
Yeah. I was like, you got
um,
me a physical copy of it for as a birthmas present.
yes, I did, and also I think I sent you the CinemaSins video for it, which might be one of the funniest ones they've ever done. I think.
I
Uh,
agreed. Agreed.
That one was pretty good, pretty good. You could tell that even though they were going hard on it in that one, it was like a good-natured ribbing and not like genuine bitching, you know?
There was okay. So after going back and watching it now several times, there was some things that I noticed in the scene where Mario is going through town with Toad to get to the castle to see Princess Peach. Um, there's a shop that I didn't notice before that it was like an antique shop, and it looked like it had little like what looked like or like pickaxes and stuff, but were in the format of 8-bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I thought that was really cool, and that really stood out. I'm like, wait, that's really cool. Like they really put some thought into this. They didn't just throw this together. They put some serious thought into this.
Yeah, that I noticed like some references to like Captain Toad's treasure tracker and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that in there. And like there's a scene where a herd of different colored Yoshis are running through a field. Um
Uh-huh.
and different yeah, there's all kinds of Easter eggs in there. I loved that movie. That was a very good one. Man,
Absolutely.
School Spirits, the show on Paramount Plus, the one I talked about the girl trying to solve her own death, like her own
Yeah.
murder as a ghost stuck in the school, and it's like a comedy drama. I still stand by that being like one of the most like well done original concepts I've seen for a
Mm.
streaming show. I
I
take it
have
you haven't seen any of it yet.
not yet. It is on
Okay.
my to watch list.
All right.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, that one I definitely tell people they should try. Forspoken. When I first talked about this game, I did go a little hard on the visuals and performance. I talked about how it was like really foggy and the frame rate was
Mm-hmm.
kind of janky. I am pleased to announce that since then they have updated the game to fix these issues. So
Awesome.
performance wise, it's working a lot better. I haven't played a whole lot of it since then, though. Gameplay and story wise, I am enjoying it more than most people did, but I haven't really gotten back to it in a long time because newer
Mm-hmm.
releases took priority for a while. I will get back to it eventually. Plus, there's a DLC I want to play. But I. I think I maintain though that it is still kind of like overall I enjoy it, but it is like overall a mediocre experience compared to the other offerings that we got last year for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
um Insidious the Red Door, unfortunately I still haven't had a chance to watch. I tried to I
My opinion on this still.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to. It was on my like I was going to try and squeeze it in before this like you with the Marvels, but
Mm-hmm.
I never I just wasn't able to find the time. Other things happened
Fair enough.
instead. So yeah, like I squeezed in other things too, and like I finally watched Gran Turismo, which we'll reach later on the list, but like so
Yes.
I'll have thoughts about that now. That's my jam. A show that you recommended. Have you watched any of it since then? You still watching that?
I
I'm
did
familiar with
watch
it.
some.
My mom watches it.
I did watch some the other night. There was an episode where there was two WWE superstars up against two comedians. Those WWE superstars being Alexa Bliss and The Miz. That was really cool seeing them both on there and really kicking ass. um,
Okay.
and then there was an episode where Jay Farrow and Nikki Glazer was on as well. I think JoJo Siwa was on there too on that same episode. That was a really entertaining one.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I've
It's
still only
still
seen it the one since yeah.
still stands
My
up, still holds up.
yeah, my opinion of it hasn't changed at all, but granted, I've still only seen it the one time in theaters. I haven't watched it since then. Like you did with Mario, so I don't have any like second viewing opinions to give it at the moment.
That's
but
fair.
Like, if you folks want to hear our thoughts on that one, definitely listen to our bonus episode about that movie. We got deep into it.
Yeah, we did.
Scream 6. I still haven't oh no wait, yes I have. I have seen this since then. And I pretty much agree with you. It's a good one. I've also watched the kill count for it and a few other things too. So I'm familiar. Yeah, they're doing the best they can with the cast that they have now. I understand there's a lot of things that have happened. So but I did enjoy that. I agree with Ryan and Chris that there really is no such thing as a bad Scream movie.
No, definitely not.
There might be one that is worse than the others, but overall they're all good in their own way.
Absolutely. The Bob's Burgers movie.
Have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Had you? I can't remember. I think you had already seen it by the time I watched it, actually, and when I talked about it on the show.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know if it was then or after the fact that you watched it, but if it was, yeah, I can't remember if you had seen it before me or after. So
I don't remember.
But I still think it's a very enjoyable show. I mean, it's Bob's Burgers humor. If you like the show, you're gonna like the movie. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
It works. You have to wonder if that particular humor works stretched into a movie-length feature film, and yeah, it does.
It really does.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that experience a lot. The Mandalorian. I am fully caught up on this show. Have you seen any of it?
I have seen season 1 and season 2, and bits and pieces of season 3.
Oh, okay. Season 3 is where it gets really interesting and starts tying in with Ahsoka and stuff like that.
We're supposed to be getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie based on this.
So I take it you've seen some of the Luke Skywalker stuff too in the show then.
Yeah, that was at the end of season 2.
Pretty cool, pretty interesting. I mean, they use a lot of CGI for him, obviously.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
And you can definitely tell, but the way that he looks in that, honestly, you know the guy who plays Bucky in the MCU movies, Sebastian Stan. I think he could play a young Luke Skywalker, like a modern take on him, honestly.
Yeah.
Just based on that look. So, yeah, okay, so you'll have to let me know what you think after season 3, but if you've watched the first 2 seasons, then obviously you like it. So,
yeah, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, it's different now that Carl Weathers has passed away, but
yeah, there's that.
Yes, indeed. But by the way, I heard that Respawn, the company behind the Jedi games, you know, Fallen Order and Survivor, might be making a Mandalorian game.
Ooh. Really?
So that would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. So
for sure.
It's just a rumor, but that would be cool if they
Hell
are.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it's funny I say that because Star Wars Jedi Survivor is like one of the things coming up here on the list. Let's see here. A couple more here, and then I'm gonna do something. Let's see. Okay, so X. This was the movie that by Ty West, that was one of the A24 films about the old couple that goes on a murder spree when they find out these young folks are recording a porno in their guest house. Have you seen this yet? Since
I have not.
Okay. So if you ever do get around to watching this, you'll want to do yourself a huge favor and watch X and Pearl back to back. because I think doing that gives you the full story better. Pearl is a prequel, but definitely watch X first anyway.
Okay.
Is because I think it's meant to be that way, and they are still working on a third movie called Maxine with 3 X's. So, so yeah, it's gonna be a trilogy by the time they're done. But I still think this is like one of the I'm not a huge fan of when they focus too much on sexual content in movies and games and stuff. I think a lot of it is just padding the runtime or used for shock value. But this is a movie where sex is a huge focus as the narrative, and like in the message it's trying to convey about society's sexual repression and views on it, and and how it's it's hot when a young couple's going at it, but it's gross when old people do it, and stuff like that. So it's actually a very smart movie, I think, for that reason, and has a lot to say about like 70s exploitation films and shit like that. So
yeah.
So definitely a good watch. A24 hasn't put out a bad horror movie yet, I think, quite frankly. So my opinion on the Gollum game hasn't changed. It's still shit. Absolutely one of the worst things that was put out last year. It's just it doesn't get much worse than that besides the garbage King Kong game that came out. Like, I would rather play Redfall than ever touch Gollum again. So
fair.
So yeah, there's just screw that. Real quick, Game of Thrones. You talked about that a couple of times. Have you since finished the show or made it any further in it?
I have not finished it or made it any further. Not yet. No.
Okay, so you're still in season 6, I think.
Is that what I said?
I believe that's
okay.
Yeah, it was season 6 the last time you talked about it. You've talked about it more than once, and season 6 is where you left off. So updated thoughts. No updated thoughts on that one. And since Pearl goes hand in hand with X, I'm gonna go ahead and skip across that one too. I put game there by accident, but I meant movie for that. And then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Unfortunately, I don't think you've seen this yet, right?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I have not finished it yet, but I have seen some of it.
You've seen the first one, but you haven't finished the second one.
Yeah, that.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to make an executive decision, and I'm going to bookmark this. Consider for several reasons. One, between our life updates and what we've talked about so far, we're already at a 2.5-hour recording time. 2, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. 2, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. And 3, I want to give us an opportunity to continue to try and knock out some of these things on the list so that we can talk about them a bit more in depth. So I'm actually going to stop here, and I'm going to turn this episode into a 2-parter. So this will be the end of part 1. So much like when we did our discussion about the best games of every console generation, this is going to be split into a 2-parter like that. But this one will actually be a planned 2-parter, so we'll have a proper intro and outro for each one. And... yes. So I'm going to bookmark us at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So everything from that down on the list, we now have another 2 weeks opportunity to try and squeeze in. So if you want to watch The Marvels, if you want to finish Spider-Verse, there are a couple things here that I definitely want to check out that I haven't yet. So, or things that I want to like the Little Mermaid remake. I haven't watched that yet, so that's on the list there. So stuff like that. So we are Only Murders in the Building, stuff like that. So we are. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna put a pin in this here. We're gonna bookmark this here. This will be the end of this part, and then in the next episode, we will continue this conversation, starting with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So that'll be it for this episode, folks. So we'll continue this discussion in another 2 weeks in the next episode, giving ourselves and the audience more time as well. So If you have thoughts on any of the things we talked about in this episode, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. If it's on YouTube, and click that like button, or email me at mroversoul53@gmail.com, or find me at Oversoul53 on Twitter.
You can find me over on Twitter at The Vaping Fiend, TikTok, the.vaping.fiend, and Twitch at The Vaping Fiend.
Alrighty, and that'll be it for this episode. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you in part 2 where we continue this discussion, and hopefully we'll have been caught up on more things by then and have more to say. So,
yes.
See you there.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.